So this page of note is dedicated to the endocrine system, and specifically the glands that can be found in the head and neck. The first of these is the pituitary gland, or the hypophysis. Some of the root words here, means mucus in Greek, because originally people thought that the pituitary gland secreted mucus, which is not true anymore, but it just kind of stuck around as a historical artifact. Hypophysis means undergrowth, because the pituitary gland is kind of located here underneath the hypothalamus, inside of the sphenoid bone in a little divot. So, like I said, it's right coming off of the hypothalamus of the brain, and then it is two-lobed. There's the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. In total, the hypothalamus is about the size of a pea. The posterior pituitary gland is associated with 2 hormones. The anterior pituitary has 6 associated hormones that it secretes. The first one being prolactin, and this stimulates the mammary glands in women's breasts to produce milk, or to start lactation. The second hormone is ACTH, which gets sent to the adrenal cortex and stimulates the secretion of cortical steroids, or cortical hormones. Third and fourth, I'm grouping these together, are the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. These get sent to the gonads. In the females, this is the ovaries, and in males, these are the testes, and this stimulates those organs to produce sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen. Fifth, we have TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. These are sent to the thyroid to produce T3 and T4. I'm going to talk about these later. And then finally, we have the growth hormone. This is sent to our bones and our cartilage and our muscles, and kind of dictates how tall and big we're going to get. So all of these are secreted by the anterior pituitary gland in amounts that are based on the releasing or release-inhibiting hormones that the anterior pituitary receives from the hypothalamus. The posterior pituitary is only kind of associated with 2 hormones, first being ADH, which is the antidiuretic hormone. It causes the kidneys to reabsorb water if we're dehydrated. Second is oxytocin, and this is sent to the uterus and to the soft muscle in breasts. And it helps with contractions during birth, and it helps with milk letdown during lactation. And these are actually not created in the posterior pituitary. These are hormones that are created in the hypothalamus, and they're just stored in the posterior pituitary until they need to be released. So the next gland we're going to talk about is the thyroid gland. This is on the anterior neck. It's below the thyroid cartilage and below the hyoid bone. In front of the trachea, or anterior to the trachea. It's composed of both follicular cells and parafollicular cells, and these 2 cell types produce different hormones. First up, in the follicles, or in the follicular cells, we're actually going to be secreting T3 and T4. These have very similar purposes, and collectively are known as the thyroid hormones. These actually influence our metabolism and some aspects of like our brain function. There can be a couple of really common pathologies in the thyroid, some common thyroid disease, kind of in 2 categories. There's hypothyroidism and then hyperthyroidism. A little spelling error there. Hypo meaning not enough of these 2 hormones, and hyper meaning too much of these 2 hormones. This is a CT scan of the eyeball region. This is a sagittal scan where this person has hyperthyroidism. They've gotten too many of these hormones, and it actually caused the fat pads in their eyes to expand and get inflamed, and it causes the eyeball to bulge out of the socket. So that's something you might see on a CT scan. Other cell types, there's the parafollicular cells. These are kind of like in between the follicles. These secrete calcitonin, and calcitonin is a hormone that helps regulate calcium levels in the blood. It encourages bone making to decrease calcium in the blood. And so this is actually antagonistic to the parathyroid hormone that I'm going to talk about now. Parathyroid glands are these little glands that are located on the outside of the thyroid. There's 4 of them. And they secrete what is called parathyroid hormone. And this increases the amount of calcium in the blood. So again, calcitonin and PTH are antagonistic to each other. The rest of these notes I wanted to use to show some more CT images of what you might see when you're looking at the thyroid gland. This is the same patient, just in 2 different views. And I got these off of radiopedia.org. So here on the right side of the patient, you can see that this is like the normal thyroid over here. And then on their left side, this looks very strange. This is actually a carcinoma of the thyroid. So again, coming over here to this other view, that's the carcinoma that I've outlined in red, and then the thyroid in green. So I'm going to reorganize these notes a little bit, and then I will post them on the webpage along with the blank sheet so you can follow along. Thank you.